Hey all, Heretic here with another Hearthstone Battlegrounds tips and tricks guides, and I'm here to bring you the information you need to help you win with Millhouse Manastorm. So get comfy and let's dive in. First, let's talk about his hero power, Manastorm. It reads passive, minions cost 2 gold, refresh costs 2 gold, tavern tiers cost 1 more. Okay, so let's think about that. Normally your minions cost 3 and refreshes are 1. Now they're 2 and 2. That's a big difference. It doesn't sound like a lot, but where you only get 10 gold in the game, that really changes how you play. So if you buy a minion, let's say it's mid-game and you want to buff something, you see something in the store that buffs anything. You buy it, it's only costing you 2. You play it, you sell it, so you're only down a gold. But now if you're like, oh, I could buy this other minion and do the same thing, or I could refresh and find something better, well, now you're going to have to spend 2 gold to refresh. You're better off doing the buff minions, cycling that, and making that work. It's just a totally different way to play. Anything economy is good for you. So anytime you get a minion that generates extra cards or makes your cheers cheaper, just anything like that, these are phenomenal for Millhouse. It's just great. Just remember, that extra reroll can kill you if you're not paying attention, and you click on it a couple times and suddenly you realize you just blew through all your gold. Especially in the early game, that can really kill you if you're just in the habit of playing the way we always do, because this is the only hero that does this, so please keep this in mind. Let's talk about Millhouse's buddy, Magnus Manastorm. He's a tier 3 4/4 neutral minion that reads, after you buy a minion, add one of the same tavern tier to Bob's Tavern. So this is phenomenal. This buddy is just so good. I can't describe it. It gives you complete targeted search. If you're sitting there and you need a particular minion, and you probably know what tier it is, that means if you buy any minions in Bob's Tavern from that tier, it's going to add one of that tier, so potentially giving you the search for that minion. And if you think about that, since your minions cost 2, play them, sell them, they really only cost you 1, so it's like you're doing a refresh. And while you're not refreshing your entire option in the shop, you are refreshing the tavern tier minion that you're looking for. So it really narrows the pool down to where you're just looking in this one spot and not across all the tavern tiers you're in. If you're tavern tier 5, and normally you hit refresh hoping you find one particular minion, well, if you add up the number of minions available, probably not going to find the one you need. But even if you're just refreshing once, just in that tavern tier, it gives you a lot better odds. Definitely worth your time. Now, when golden is not great in my mind. He's tier 3, you're going to get him relatively early. He's an 8/8, but now when you buy a minion, it adds 2 minions of the same tavern tier, which sounds phenomenal. But typically, the minions you really want to find are like tavern tier 5 and 6. Well, at that point, the lobby's going to be too full. You're not going to have room for all the minions. You're going to fill it up incredibly fast. You're going to buy one, sell one, lobby's full. Buy one, sell one, and now you're only adding the one, so you're not even getting the full effect of it. Typically, I would just avoid the triple on him. I mean, it's fine if you need the power spike and whatnot, but otherwise, I'd rather sell the one I have right before I triple it. That way I have 2. That way I can cycle around the board if I have to. Just gives me more options. Just not a great fan of this buddy when he's tripled. Now, when it comes to tiering with Millhouse, you have to remember he's kind of an oddball, which makes him fun and great, but also a challenge to play. There's no real set, consistent pattern you want to follow with Millhouse because it depends heavily upon the minions you find. If you're finding lots of economy minions, if you're making your tavern tier cheaper, suddenly he's really easy and you can tier up like crazy. Other games, you won't find those minions. You're going to be more conservative. You're going to be either keeping pace with people or maybe even falling a little behind. But because your minions are cheap, you're also going to have a massive full board relatively quick, which is a lot of fun and phenomenal because that early tempo allows you to tier up faster until you go to tier 4 and then you look at the cost of tier 5. Now, for everybody, tiering up to 5 costs 11. But for you, because you're Millhouse, it's 12 because it costs 1 more. So you're going to spend a little more time on tier 4 than you probably want to. It's just the position you're going to get stuck in with Millhouse, the way his curve plays out. But you usually have gained so much tempo, it's not really a problem. It's not too bad. Just be prepared to spend extra time here. All right. let's get to the real meat and potatoes of Millhouse. It's the minions you want. Well, yes, there's all the obvious things you want that every hero's using, all the power spike minions, all the things that give you direction, all same with Millhouse. But in the early game, things like Wrathweavers, Rabid Sorlisks, these are great because, well, you're not going to keep them late game while you're cycling demons, or in the case of the Sorlisk, anything with a death rattle, you're buffing it, giving you a couple big chunky minions. And who knows, you might end up staying with them, but it gives you a nice early spike because you're playing a lot of cards, which makes them get big very fast. Millhouse is about economy. So if you're paying 2 to get a minion, Alley Cat, Deck Swabby to make your tier cheaper, Selemental, Free Dealing Gambler. You pay 2 gold for a minion that when you sell is going to give you 3. So every gambler is a net gain. Pretty awesome. Murazont. You're going to play it, you're going to get a minion. Once again, free. If that minion generates extra minions, it just gives you power. Fantastic. Tavern Tempest. Same thing. Extra minions. Seafood Slugger. Oh, get that triple. Maybe you're tier 6 and you buy it. Fine. Target a minion in the shop. Suddenly it's gold. You're getting free minions. You're just getting cheap economy. That's power. It's really good. Now let's look at some of the builds you could go with elementals being probably the most popular when you're playing Millhouse. Recycling Wraith. Difference with him, though, is, well, he doesn't make the roll free. He makes it 1 cheaper for Millhouse, so it's 1, not 0. Remember that. It just makes it 1 cheaper. Most people don't realize it. They think, oh, it just makes it free. It's 1 cheaper. Nomi, if you're cycling minions like crazy, Nomi can be definitely a good play with Millhouse, especially coupled with his body, which is going to let you target certain minions. So, hey, tier 1's full of Selementals. If you're playing Nomi, buy a bunch of tier 1 stuff. Ragnaros, all great things. Murlocs have not been great for Millhouse in the past because it's hard to find the minions of that particular tier, but I think with his buddy and with the addition of Tad in the pool, Tad, Primal Fin, Lookout, if you get a brand going, I mean, they're all typical Murloc things there, but with the cheaper minions and the things like Tad, I think you definitely can take more of an angle on that. Pirates. Now, I'd like to point out that pirates seem like the obvious play with Millhouse. It's like, oh, well, get a Peggy, get a Hogger, get a Salty Looter. Minions cost 2. Well, that makes Hogger even better. The problem with pirates more than anything is they don't generate extra pirates like some of the other things we've mentioned here. When you play a pirate, that's it. There's no pirate that makes extra pirates other than some weird RNG stuff. What you're looking for are just pirates, and that makes it a little harder. You could start wasting gold on rerolls, which, with some luck, it's still a viable strategy. It'll definitely get you there. You'll find plenty of high roll videos where, oh my god, look at my board of 300. It isn't going to happen very often with pirates. You're much better off with the other, the elementals or the Murlocs in this situation. That being said, it's still a lot of fun when you can pull it off. All right, now when it comes to countering Millhouse, it's more just about the usual game of Battlegrounds. You're playing what you play. Keep an eye on what they're doing. If you see they're leaning in one way or the other, take all the traditional counters to those builds. You don't have to do anything fancy. The biggest thing to remember about Millhouse is, his economy is his power. He's getting cheap minions. He's buffing like crazy, but if he has bad luck and he's got to start re-rolling, if he's got to use that 2 gold refresh, he can beat himself. You don't have to do anything. Just let RNG fall apart and kill him. Sometimes you just don't have to do anything. Finally, Millhouse is just a harder hero to play. That economy is very important. Paying attention to every single gold all the time can be super beneficial when you get lucky, even a little bit, as long as you focus a lot. He's great. But that being said, a lot of people will just skip him. While doing research for this video, I'm always looking to see strats I don't know about, things I've just never heard. And I'm like, oh my God, that's great. I should do that myself. And I'll integrate that into my play. While I'm trying to help you be better, these videos are also helping me be better at the game. So it works both ways on this. A lot of people don't like Millhouse. They'll just skip him. They'll be like, it's too foreign to how I usually play the game. I just want to play BGs. Millhouse is a little work. That being said, Millhouse is a lot of fun. Millhouse is very powerful. You couple that with his buddy, and you're just going to have a fun game. Every hero has a bad game. If you played a couple games with Millhouse and you didn't have good luck and you couldn't figure it out, you watch the video, you've got some ideas, give it another shot. I think it's worth your time. You'll definitely enjoy it. I really feel. I like Millhouse a whole lot. All that being said, in the end, I've attached a link with some gameplay if you'd like to see how I piloted him. Stay tuned. I have more guides on the way, and I hope you learned some things today and had a good time. I know I did. Bye.